Hey, thank you for coming tonight. Sorry, we're getting a little bit of a late start, but we did have a budget workshop just ahead of time that went a little longer than we had hoped it would. But it was a good information. So a call to order the regular council meeting for Tuesday, August 16th, 2022. If you could all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item that we need to, please, if I could get the motion to approve our agenda.
Mayor, move the amended agenda.
Correct, amended agenda, excuse me. Do we have a motion?
I so move.
No, he did. You're seconding it?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Second item is the consent calendar.
So move.
I'll second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Open forum. This is first item on open forum is the Lakes Area Food Shelf, Tim Moore and Jean Kraft.
Good evening. My name is Tim Moore. I'm serving as the interim chairman of the board of the Lakes Area Food Shelf. Our gratitude knows no bounds. You yourselves know how important it is with the work that our community is doing to help those that are less fortunate. Your donation was absolutely fantastic. Our needs have doubled. The amount of people that we're serving has doubled. And according to the news, we're not alone just in the Lakes area. It's all over the country, inflation, a number of other things. But I did want to tell you, you always hear these appeals for help. And I wanted to tell you a success story. There was a young man that came in on his bicycle about a year and a half ago, was living in the tents, had 2 kids with him. And he said, well, you can't do that all winter long. And he says, you're right. I know I'm looking for housing. I'm looking for a job. He had a number of issues in his past that was preventing him from getting help with housing and getting a job. Through his commitment to us, we worked with him. He now has a job. He has an apartment. He is now volunteering at the food shelf. So it's like one of the things we struggle with is we see all these people and we're plucking them out of the river as they come by, and we keep on saying, how can we stop them from falling in upstream? And the donations that you've made can really help us work towards that goal. So thank you.
You're very
Hi.
welcome.
Hi, I'm Jean Kraft and I'm secretary on the board of the Lakes Area Food Shelf. And I too wanted to echo the things that was said just now. And when you listened to Dale a few months ago, thank you for that time. I feel really proud to know that I live in this community and that the city council here in Nisswa will see to it that there's a lot of our friends and neighbors that are getting the help that they need. I wanted to share a story because I'm a grandma, so I kind of enjoyed hearing this story from Mary, who came into the food shelf. And this was a story that was shared with our executive director, Kathy Adams. So this was a retired grandmother who had taken on raising 4 of her young grandchildren. She had to go back to work so she could afford clothing, school supplies, and activity fees for her grandkids. And she comes to the food shelf now every few weeks, and she often brings her grandchildren with her. She speaks very openly about how challenging it is at her senior age to be raising young children. I always tell my kids, raising kids is a young person's sport. She also tells us how much the food shelf means to her and to her family. And this is a quote that Kathy captured from her. This food shelf means so much to our family. I couldn't raise these kids without coming here for food. My income just doesn't handle all the bills. Thank you for being there. And another kind of tagline that I always heard is that we are all perhaps just one life event away from using the food shelf. And people like Kathy and the fellow that Tim shared, that's very, very evident. So we are very proud to be working with the city of Nisswa and capturing some of the funds that you've given us. And I want you also to be very aware that we will be good stewards of the money that you've entrusted to us. So thank you.
I'd like to call out Councilman Zahn and Councilman Jacobson for pushing us through this. So bringing it up and our discussion. So you're very welcome and thank you for being here and doing what you do.
If I make one comment on that, Mr. Mayor, thank you all for the opportunity for being able to drop that check off to them. It was obviously incredibly well received, especially in this economic environment that we're all in. However, it was also another eye opener for not just myself, but all that I think walk through there, knowing that you may not need it. You are perhaps just one life event away from having to walk through those doors and humbly ask for a warm meal, something nourishing for yourself, your family. But it was very comforting to see the amount of volunteers that they had there. It was phenomenal, the infrastructure that they have, that was all more or less donated. And our donation is a small service sample to be able to hopefully have an echo that's a sentiment that's echoed through our community to all to answer. And they call everybody that walks through their front doors, friends and neighbors. And it's important for us to not forget that those are those same people that we serve here. So thank you all.
One thing you don't know about me, I was on the board of the food shelf about 10 years ago for a while. So I'm very familiar with what's going on down there.
Next item on the open forum is public comment. This is an opportunity for anyone in the public to bring up any item that isn't on the agenda. If you have something you want to discuss on the agenda, you'll be given time at that point. So. Pam, the other mayor.
I'm.
Sorry.
Thank you for having me. This is kind of chamber duty, I guess. But I have been asked tonight on behalf of the Brainerd JCs to make a motion to pour beer and apply for a full liquor license for Fall Festival on September 17th.
So I had a quick conversation about this about 10 minutes ago outside and
Andrew Sanchez.
Yep, and Andrew, so I said he could have you come make the request. So it's just that, so typically, let me back up. So typically we have an agreement that would come to the city council for approval for a temporary liquor license. And so I think this is maybe trying to fine tune some details and things like that and the timing with the next council meeting.
Yeah.
So if the council is inclined to approve the request for the Brainerd JCs to apply for a temporary liquor license for September 17th,
One day.
we will do the paperwork and make sure everything is appropriate. It gets sent to the state for approval, so they will ultimately approve it. But they're making this request and we will, I don't have any issue with that, and we'll certainly make sure all of the details are taken care of if the council doesn't have a concern about that.
They just missed remembering.
It happens, I think. Yep.
Don?
Well, I don't know how much we can delegate to staff. Mr. Attorney, what do you think? Can we do it that way?
Jen, I'm not sure I understand. Are they looking, are you talking about provisional approval or?
Yes,
Will you bring something back before the council in September or no?
We won't have time based on the date of the event and the council meeting. And the state requires the council approve by motion the temporary license. So yes, it would be contingent upon filling out the forms and going through the process.
Okay, but according to the normal process that the council
Yes.
is used to seeing and
Yes.
just doing that a little bit out of order this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you probably can get away with it here.
I don't know if I like this terminology, but
Jesse? Any-
No rules.
Well,
So we just need a motion
So we'll need
to
a motion.
approve.
I'll make a motion that we get this accepted. And
for the
that you
super
will,
liquor license for the J.C.'s.
for
for
the
September
September
17th.
17th,
Yes.
right?
I'll second.
Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Hi,
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Thank you on behalf of the Brainerd JCs.
We'll talk tomorrow about details.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
I love the food shelf too.
Reports, city administrator.
Thank you, Mayor Ryan. Good evening, members of the council. I have my usual monthly report for you. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. I received a nice letter from the Minnesota Post Board on their recent review of the police department's records management and the details they go through. I think there's a regular routine for that. And so I included the letter in my report because I thought it was a really nice letter, and you don't typically hear from agencies when they go through reviews like that. So I wanted to acknowledge that of the police department. And I also wanted to highlight that Representative Josh Heinzman and Senator Carrie Ruud received Legislators of Distinction Awards from the League of Minnesota Cities for this last legislative session. And I provided the comments in my report. Just wanted to express my thanks to them for being available to our local communities and for the work they do. With that, I will stop for any questions you might have before I take the next item.
Go ahead.
So Tom, come on down. So we have an employee anniversary celebration tonight. Tom Blommer is our Public Works Director, and he is celebrating 15 years with the city on August 20th. And we have just a simple certificate of achievement to present to him, as well as new city years of service pins. I do have the 5 and the 10-year ones as well for Tom, but I wanted to say thank you to Tom for all your work at the city and for all you do. And we can give him a round of applause.
I don't have much for words to say, but thank you.
Thanks for Tom. Thanks for all the years, Tom.
You bet. Where's the cake?
Next week, actually.
City is a city attorney,
I don't have anything tonight, Mayor.
city engineer.
Have anything tonight either, Mayor? But you have questions for me?
Okay, then we will get on to new business. First item of business is a public hearing ordinance amendment, reference moratorium on THC products.
If I could, Mayor Ryan,
Yes.
I just want to tee up all of the information that I have on this topic for the council, and then I will let the council decide the direction that it would like to take. Following our conversation at last month's meeting, the council requested more information on the THC laws that have been passed and what impacts do they have to the city. They do span across a variety of departments and different things, and there are still some details we're still working through. But some of the feedback I received from the council was the council was interested in considering adopting a moratorium, and what does that look like? And so I did draft language to provide to you to review tonight. The public hearing reference is indicated because I did notice that in the paper properly. So if the council chose to take any action on that tonight, they certainly could. I've also included the feedback from Nisswa businesses that I have received. There wasn't a lot of feedback, but there were some comments, and they kind of ranged a bit on their feeling and position about how that would impact business. And so I provided that to you as well. I did find a few articles on the effects of THC products. It's a challenging topic to really get into the weeds about, but I wanted to provide that to you as well. And so I think at this time, I'm looking for direction from the council. The last piece of information is I did reach out to area cities to see what they're doing. And I'll say pretty much everybody, Brainerd, Baxter, East Lake, Crosby, Pequot Lakes, Breezy Point, and Lakeshore are all in a wait and see position. So they're not doing anything, not changing regulations, permitting process, anything like that. They're just seeing maybe where I'm guessing the next legislative session takes this topic. So as far as what's happening in other cities, nothing like a moratorium, but that doesn't mean that the council can't proceed with that if you choose to do so. And with that, I will answer questions, or if you'd like to open the public hearing to discuss the moratorium specifically, then we can have a motion to do that.
Questions?
I understand. Oh, sorry.
No, I'd make the motion to open the public hearing.
I will second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are now in public hearing. So,
So the
Oh.
council could call for public comment
yes, well.
if you'd like,
yeah,
or
do-
council
Or do
questions.
we want to just put our ideas out there first so people can hear what we're thinking? Or do we want to let the public comment first if there's anyone here in the public that wishes to? Any idea, any preference, or is it my call?
Your call.
Okay. Is there anyone in the public currently here that would wish to speak on the matter, their opinions to the council? Okay. So we'll start with the council then. Don,
We have a question before us, which is a result of unintended consequences. I don't think the legislature thought it through. I didn't hear really during the session, they talked about it at all. And it got put in kind of late night conferences between the legislators. It passed, but while they passed to make it legal, they didn't give us any direction on how to implement it. There's so many loose threads on this thing that the whole state is up in the air, basically. My feeling, I have a personal feeling about it. I think we should not be putting this kind of stuff into gummy bears for kids, or cookies, or ice cream. It's the nose of the camel's nose under the tent, so to speak. And there's a lot that we don't know about this particular HDC. And I would not be in favor of doing something we could all wish we had done something different a year from now. So I would be against doing anything other than a moratorium right now.
I'm gonna echo Don's sentiment on that one. Furthermore, I have not personally consulted some individuals that I think should have opinions put into this matter, one of which is ironically in the room this evening. I would have preferred to had reached out to Chief Taylor about his opinion on implementing anything to this effect based off of how laws are already in place in the state, and his opinion on how we would go about enforcing that, not just on a commerce side, but to just start an open discussion before making a decision. So I am going to side with Don as well on this one.
a moratorium is not going to stop people from using the product in the community. They can
Correct.
bring it into the community from outside. They can use it. It's legal in the state of Minnesota now because of this law. I read a couple articles, and even the person who, the representative from Edina who authored the bill said that it wasn't, didn't come right out and say it, but hinted that, yeah, there was some things they didn't think about. I think it was part of a bigger omnibus bill, so it was kind of buried in there. I talked to our representative, Heinzman. It was a partisan vote. It was, everyone in the House anyway. One side voted for it, the others didn't. And there were some issues. They had issues with it at the time, but they really didn't know about it. But to Don's point, they didn't really know enough it kind of snuck through, so to speak. I don't even know that they thought it would even pass to begin with, but it did. So here we are. And I guess my problem with it is with all the other stuff that's going on out there, I would like to see the legislature fix it. I know the League of Minnesota Cities is asking the governor to call a special session to finish some other stuff. This was being asked if a special session was called, that they would address this at that point in time. I don't know that there will be one, but whatever. But from what I read online to what I read in the articles to what I'm hearing from other representatives in St. Paul, that I spoke to, a couple of them that I spoke to, it's going to be addressed next year, next session to try and fix some of this. So I don't know what's going to happen, but and I noticed that with a lot of the business, some of the businesses say, well, it's business. They shouldn't, whether you should or shouldn't, whether you want it or don't want it, should we restrict a business from selling something that's legal? I get it. But then again, we are family orientated. I get it. So until the law is actually makes sense, I guess, I would be in favor of a moratorium in this one anyway.
I'm of the same opinion. I'd like to know the reasoned logic of it. And to me, I'm not so much against the idea. I mean, we have alcohol too. To me, it's a whole different animal, but it does. I also have issues with alcohol too, so, but as far as the logic of it, I just don't know. I mean, it's unsettled and they're going to address it next year. Let's wait till next year.
I just concur with everybody else on the council. Well, it's just, I don't want to take a wait and see. I don't want to keep up with the Joneses. I'd like to see a moratorium so that they can fix the ambiguity in the law is there. So I just like to see that fixed.
And I believe moratorium be for 1 year, correct?
Yes, up to. So if something is corrected and changed, that can be removed and we can move forward with the new regulations.
And I would assume any changes they make would probably go into effect August 1st versus January 1st.
Yes.
Mr.
Unless
Mayor,
they-
maybe we're talking about a moratorium. To make the clarity here, but people hear a moratorium means I can't do something. And that's the only thing we're saying here. You're not going to sell this product
Correct.
in our town. So everybody understands that. It doesn't mean it's not going to show up here probably. If somebody can drive in from the Twin Cities and it's here.
Right.
But we're not,
Right.
we're not pushing it.
From law enforcement standpoint, I would, and Chief Taylor could actually answer this if he wishes. I mean, it's legal. They can have it. So it's not an issue. And I believe that Jenny and the chief had spoke. And that was the police department's opinion. It's not an issue. It's not like possession is a crime or anything like that. It's just selling it here in town.
My biggest problem with, besides it's kind of a mess, how to get the thing moving, is it can be put in children's candy and stuff like that. And the amount that they're talking about is a small amount, but to give a kid a package of candy, jelly beans or whatever that's in there, you can have a real problem.
Is there any further discussion? Anything from the public? No?
So we'll need to close the public hearing and then you can make a motion on the moratorium.
I move we close the public hearing then.
Yeah, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing is closed. So I would entertain a motion to
Would you like me to?
thank you.
So it would be an emergency interim ordinance prohibiting the establishment of new uses or the expansion of existing uses related to sales, testing, manufacturing, and distribution of THC products in the city of Nisswa.
I'll make that motion.
Right?
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed? Carried.
I do need one more motion if you could, and that is to publish the summary ordinance in the local newspaper.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Second by Jacobson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number two, special event permit, Glenn's Ice Cream, Northern Gifts, Car Show, road closure. Everyone had a chance, did everyone get a chance to see that in their packet? Okay,
And I believe all departments have reviewed and approved it as well.
okay. So can I get a motion?
I make a motion that we accept this special events permit application for the, let's see, for the Sweets Ride-In. That will be held on August 21st, starting at 2 o'clock and ending at 6 p.m.
I will second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number three, final plat, 01922 Quarter Mile Depot.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. The Planning Commission recommended approval of the final plat Quarter Mile Depot at the August 2nd Planning Commission meeting. The proposed development consists of 9 single-family residential building sites. The City Council approved the preliminary plat of Quarter Mile Depot on May 17th, 2022. Subject property is located at PID 2802-0603 and is 10.6 acres. Property is zoned shoreland residential. Please note that condition number 4 was changed from the preliminary plat based on the recommendation of the city attorney that dedicating the Paul Bunyan Trail to the public should be omitted. State of Minnesota owns the trail. The applicant requests approval of final plat application Quarter Mile Depot. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move that the city council agrees with the findings of the planning commission on the subdivision of 10.9 acre parcel in the 9 family lots. And also find the findings of fact as listed.
Second.
I will second.
All those in favor, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Number 4. Recycling center discussion. Direction, excuse me.
Direction, yes.
Direction.
Yeah.
Tom?
So I don't know how many of you, well, obviously, Mark, you were at the meeting, and I don't know if the rest of you watched any part of the last Public Works meeting. We ended that with a recommendation, and I'm looking for a motion to give the staff direction on what to do for next steps with the recycling center. The 4 items that we're looking for action on, the committee recommended having Jenny write the necessary letters to request the DNR and National Park Service to request the ability to use the adjoining parkland to the current recycling center for expansion. They want you to direct staff to get the necessary signage and barricades to block off the fire hall site for fire training when necessary. And the third item they would like to see is have you direct the staff to prepare ordinance language to require haulers provide curbside recycling as part of their service at no extra charge within the city limits. The last item is they would like you to have the staff identify possible alternative downtown sites for a new recycling center if expansion can't occur on the adjoining parkland. Any question?
The D. I have a question on the alternative downtown sites. We do we have any place currently that we own?
No,
Okay, so any place we move it that stays downtown, the city's gonna have to purchase property
correct.
unless somebody's kind enough to let us use it. Which I don't want to do that because that would be more of a problem probably than it's worth. So we're looking at purchasing property, and if we're gonna move it, and we purchase property. Just based on where it's at right now, and how would adjust it? Are we looking at an acre of land, 2 acres of land, acre and a half? I mean, I'm not asking for an exact number, exact amount of area, but we're looking at least a buildable lot, I would assume.
Right. I don't have,
There's 0 foot, if it's in the downtown zone, it's 0 setbacks, so we don't have to worry about that.
yeah. I don't have, what's that?
175 by
Yeah, feet.
Okay, so you're looking at least 175 by 100-foot lot.
Right. And then the
200.
access is around it.
So about an acre.
Fencing.
You're looking at almost like a
Yeah.
200 by 200.
If you want to get a good idea for what size would be required, right over there on the wall is a drawing of the proposed site, the concept drawing that we had. No matter where we place the recycling, that pad for the recycling bins is likely what we would be wanting to purchase. Even if we built a smaller site today, you do have to allow for expansion. If you're going to invest in property for a recycling site anywhere, there, downtown, wherever, I think it's wise to get enough property for it to be there for the foreseeable future.
The survey almost spoke for itself, almost. I mean, it was an overwhelming majority of individuals were against having that on the new proposed site compared to where it's at now. Safety concerns can be echoed for the fire department and traffic going through. But it seems as if there's no other true solution besides us acquiring some other sort of property. I mean, that could be a part of a downtown expansion plan, like we just discussed at the budget workshop meeting, and I think that we don't need to stop it here, but taking line item D here, I don't, if there's any ideas that anybody has in the back of their mind to propose staff wise, it's worth discussing all sites, any potential land that we think we could get for a reasonable price worth discussing, but I think that this is worth pushing through for now.
It would be nice if the county would back off a little bit and have more than just us in one other spot to put all of the trash from the whole county. And that would help quite a bit on any decision that we could make.
Commissioner Brecken did tell me that Emily has asked the county for something too. So they're starting to see people looking. Now, whether or not that happens, that's another story. But, so who knows? And at least it would be nice if the county would just commit to us for like a 3-year contract at least. So that would, you didn't have to wonder about this every year. Hopefully something can happen in that regard, but yeah, the survey did speak for itself. And I like the idea of like Eric Lodge, right?
Say that again, I'm
Logie.
sorry.
Logie.
Oh, Eric
Logie,
Logie.
Eric Logie.
Yes.
I don't know why I always want to call him Lodge. I don't know. Eric Logie did say, and he said, if you have curbside, it will undoubtedly reduce some of, but how much? You know, who knows? I mean, it might be different than what he's used to, but he's been doing it a long time.
Right.
So, he's generally pretty spot on with his estimates, so. But,
One thing I pointed out to the Public Works Committees that you should be aware of there too. Even if there's a temporary reduction in the volume, because we add curbside recycling, the volume of recycling has been on a steep increase since I've been here. So we will likely find ourselves right back where we are within a few short years, volume wise, so.
Yeah, the idea with this whole, I mean, doing the monkey survey really revealed that everybody wants, or not everybody, but about 90%, 80 to 90% want us downtown yet. And they want to keep it at the same site because they think it's okay yet. If it's not broke, don't fix it type of attitude. And for now, we do have the backing of the county. They are providing some money at this point. But when that, and we'd like to get, like what John said, 3 years or contracts, so we don't have to keep wondering when this is going to change. But meanwhile, while we have this small grace period anyway, to look at these items that are written down here at this point, let's get prepared for when they don't provide anymore, if they don't provide anymore. And so the first idea was to enlarge it into the park area. That sounds very improbable, but let's cross that off. Let's go to them and ask. It doesn't hurt to ask anyway. So that was the first idea. And then meanwhile, while the safety issue with the fire department, we don't want people to be in the way of the fire department when they're training, but those training dates are established. So we can make blockage during those dates and then have signage which allows people to know that we can block it off, or they know when it's going to be blocked off. I mean, I use it all the time and I would notice those signs if they're out there. And then, and the idea of having the ordinance is to try to help to minimize the amount of usage, having it at a private location, at residential locations. But it was pointed out that the traffic doesn't necessarily go down on streets because there was some ideas that, we don't want to have more traffic on our street type idea by putting it into the wastewater treatment area. But that they still mention that it won't really reduce traffic because they're going to be going down that street to pick up recycling anyway. But the others is to try to limit as much as possible, yet keep it open to the general public. And but again, like what you just mentioned, Tom, it has been growing very quickly, and other sites are being shut down, and so I don't know how it will turn out. But meanwhile, we do have an opportunity while we're still being funded, or half of it's being funded by the county, to look at these items here. And meanwhile, to satisfy the other point that came out, the monkey survey, was to how can we have an alternative site in downtown. A lot of people wanted to say they used it, they like to come downtown here while they're shopping, then they can dump off their garbage as well. And recyclables. So that's where these 4 items really came from. But to me, I'm worried that we're going to be right back at this again next year unless we get something from the county. It's just going to keep coming up and up and up. And if we find out that the cost of having another site downtown is going to be really expensive, I wonder if we did another monkey survey, what people would think compared to what we already own. But meanwhile, let's do this. We have the time. There's no rush at this point.
Mr. Mayor,
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm not part of the committee, so I just have a question here. Item number C, have staff draft an ordinance to require haulers to provide curbside recycling at no extra charge.
that's state law.
It's a requirement
State law.
anyway.
Yeah.
It's state law.
At
Right.
no extra charge.
And most people did not know that, but it's state.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I can't believe that the haulers are going to do that at no extra fee, some way or. They
Well,
gotta get it.
The caveat to that is that a lot of places the haulers can't go into certain areas because you'd have to have a small truck and some of them just don't have it, or all of them are, my understanding, but the large trucks can't go through there for the recycling. So there will be a lot of areas that it won't be available for, was my understanding.
Such as mine. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, Eric Logie explained that on some of those, if they have to do citywide, if they do a citywide, what they do is they have a remote dumpster, like at the end of the road that they can get to. And everybody on that road has to bring those recyclables there and set it up. It's not always the nicest thing, but they just can't get down. Another hauler I spoke to, said if he was to offer that service here, he would likely have to add a truck and a driver. He said a truck right now, if he ordered it, is at least 14 to 16 months out. So, yeah, so, and then again, and he echoed the size thing, how do you want to come in with, ideally, you want to come in with one truck, hit the whole community, or, and have it, all your staff people, boom, done. You don't want to have a small truck and have to make multiple trips because it just doesn't pay. So it's.
Nothing's free.
No, that's.
Yeah. But it was very clear with the monkey survey that everybody wants to continue with the recycling and they want it downtown.
I want to add one point of clarification.
Please.
This idea that it's not broke. That site
Mhm.
is broken.
Yeah.
It's over capacity right today by a lot. And so even with curbside recycling, we are likely going to find it's still over capacity. Just want to make that as clear as the monkey survey.
Yeah. Mark, do you have any?
I was just saying, even if we do get permission from the DNR and US Forest Service or National Park Service to go into that parks that we have, then we still have to purchase that same amount of land and turn it over into the outdoors. So I don't know where we would find that land either. I mean, that's another thing you have to look at too. Sticky wicket.
Nothing's simple.
Especially when government's in it.
Amen. So I would entertain a motion on the council action requested, and we could probably do it all in one motion, I would think.
Yes, I think if you agree with the collective list as recommended by the Public Works Committee, you can move this list and staff will begin to work on it.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the recommendations from the Public Works Committee as presented here tonight.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? The only thing then Tom, you'll get with the fire department and figure out what kind of signage you need and, all that, and then they can,
Yes,
okay, all right. That's what I figured it said, but I just wanted to make sure.
the signage and the barricades are probably going to be fairly substantial because we do have an issue with people going around barricades, so.
Put the barricade where you don't want them, or if you put the barricade where you want them to go, that's how you get them to go that way.
Sure.
Directing, like herding cats, Okay. No further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you, gentlemen.
On that item, as long as we're there, we're not starting the night. No, don't need. I just want to go on record, say, I did watch the meetings. And, I thought that a lot of the comment by members of the public was pretty unwarranted and unnecessary. I thought it was a little rude at times. But, and I just ask people, you know, a little more decorum would be nice, you know. Staff does the bidding, but the council asks for stuff, so don't kill the messenger. Thanks. Next item up is updated emergency management plan. Did you all read it on the edge of your seat? Excited?
That's an understatement. Well, I'd be happy to answer any questions if you do have them.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I read the thing and I only found one, I think it's a mistake. But it talks about medical helicopters out of St. Paul.
I would have to look at, see what you're referring to,
I was looking for it on the page and I didn't jump out of me. But it said the medical helicopters are only available on the weekends. And that's not true. You just might want to.
no, you're right, that is not true, but if you could, well, I can do it tomorrow, but if you could shoot me an email and I could look at that and maybe I could get permission of the council just to change it and not vote on it again, you know, that'd be great. And then what I'll do is I will, as you see, there's different places to have signatures of different officials, and I will get that taken care of, and then, you know, it'll be official and everybody will have a copy of it and know what their responsibilities will be.
Can I get a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the emergency. What is that? Emergency management resolution is presented tonight.
I'll second.
Do we need to include anything in there in regards to a potential not a
Reword?
revision, but
Correction.
yeah, I
We'll,
guess.
we'll make the correction for the helicopter reference as appropriate.
All those in favor, any further discussion, questions for the chief? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next item, squad car purchase for 2023. We did discuss this. Jenny briefly touched on it during our budget session workshop. So given we're still waiting for the one we ordered a year ago, I think it's pretty much, we should move forward with this. That's my opinion.
Mhm.
Unless anyone has questions for the chief, I'll entertain a motion. Don?
I'll make the motion.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Okay,
I'll second.
discussion. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And it looks like the next item is security incident response as required by post board. This is
a state computer issue. It's not a post board requirement. It's the BCA requirement for the state computer. It's more or less a training thing, and also your responsibilities for reporting misuse and whatnot. It came out of the blue. I didn't know we didn't have one that qualified, but this is different. So I was told by our TAC, which is our terminal agency coordinator, that we needed to do this ASAP.
I'll make a motion that we accept the policy update as presented.
I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Mr.
Thank
Chair,
you.
that changes on page 13.
13, okay, I will, I'll make that correction and then get this thing sent out, and I'll give you an updated copy too. I know you want to read it again.
Item 8, memo, F-450 truck purchase, Public Works Department. I think this is the standard. Again, on the matrix and.
Yeah.
Still waiting.
Mhm.
Yeah, actually, this was a truck that we would have been we were talking about last year. We couldn't purchase it
Yeah.
because of COVID issues and the window to order these is coming up soon. It would be prior to us passing this year's budget. So we're looking for permission to be able to purchase that at amount up to 25% greater than the budgeted amount from last year.
Is that, do we have, this is off last year's budget or this year?
Yeah, this is a truck that we had budgeted for in 2021. It's just carried.
Yeah, carried over. Okay. Do I dare say this is what happens when you shut an economy down?
Please. Hopefully we never do that again.
I hope not, man. Ouch. So, questions for Tom, or I will entertain a motion.
I will make a motion that we approve the F-450 truck purchase for the Public Works Departments with a potential inflation accommodation for 25% over the May 2021 cost.
I'll second that.
Questions? Comments? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Parks
And-
and Rec, request community center furnace and AC. Amber.
Good evening. This was included as part of our capital improvement plan in our budget this year, along with tables and chairs. So I would be happy to try and answer any of your questions.
How old is the other one?
Well
old one.
past its life expectancy. I think
Okay.
it's coming up on 20 years.
Oh,
So this
wow.
is the last of our ACs that need to be done, AC furnace.
And how many AC units are there?
4.
There's 4 for the building. And they're all pedestal mounted outside on the ground, right?
Correct.
And the furnace,
There's 4.
there's just the one furnace and is this the original furnace?
I believe so. It's in the original side of the building.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
Okay, I will entertain a motion.
I move that we accept this, the agenda of AC and furnace replacement for the community center. And they approved the quote from Climate Makers for $14,908.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Approve Woodseth quote reference roundabout redesign work.
Thank you, Mayor Ryan. As I have communicated with the council, I'm looking for approval to spend some additional money to do some redesign work for our roundabout project to hopefully facilitate a little better design and meet the needs of Grandview and kind of work through that project and keep the project moving on schedule.
Is everyone aware of that?
Mhm.
Now, did we have a conversation with Grandview about, okay, no more redesign, or they can pay for it?
Yep, we have a meeting scheduled with them, so we're going to discuss all of this and make sure that we are all on the same page. Joe is able to do a very high level visual for them so they can see what this will look like at the end, so they can have both to compare. And if they agree, then we will move forward with option 2, or we can go back to option 1. But yes, we will ensure that they're on board with that.
I did drive down there. Yes, there are a lot of trees are marked. I get it. But then again, we were also trying to accommodate their requests, some of the requests for like a extra emergency road or temporary roadway, and
road,
things of
access
that
road, yep.
nature. So okay, just as long as, because like you say, let's keep it moving. Okay. And we won't be doing any grubbing or anything this winter or anything.
I think our schedule is going to change because of some of the things that have happened. And I don't see that there'll be a need to do that this year with, Grandview is kind of asked that we extend it farther. He's more interested in the, not having the work done at all until as late as possible.
Okay.
But to him, it means, well, my understanding is to him, it doesn't matter what weekend, either way he's losing. So if he doesn't have to have it tore up and we can do it next year and do the tearing up next year and go later into the year, he seemed to be fine with that.
When would the projection, assuming
We
of course,
were,
everything goes well, when would you projectively be paving?
we'd be paving sometime in September, October for sure. It'll be later in the year paving. Also, the county is gonna do an overlay. Piggyback onto this contract. When we do the bituminous work for the roundabout, they wanna do the road from 371 down to county border, Mike Holman's.
Basically the oil and gravel.
Yeah, they're gonna overlay it. No overlay, not a chip seal, but
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
And then, yeah, he didn't seem to mind that.
Okay. So did we get a motion? We need a motion?
Make a motion that we accept the proposal from Witsa for the redesign of the roundabout for the cost $22,980.
I'll second.
The north entrance redesign included as a, okay, what's the second?
I just broke out the details in my memo. So
Oh,
the total
okay,
is
all right, so
22,980.
22,000. Okay, thank you. All right. All those, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Public Works memo. This was a last second, kind of, Tom just got the bid. Somebody just got back to you type thing. That never happened.
Right, so what happened with this is every year, if you're, I don't know how familiar you are with how we do the road maintenance, if you've driven around town at all, you've probably noticed some white paint markings on the pavement on various streets. Those are the repairs that we're looking to make. Normally, we would have had this marked out sooner. This is also ties back into our discussion at the budget meeting about so we weren't able to complete that until recently, and Anderson Brothers just provided us with the quote for that work that you have in front of you. And so we're looking for approval as soon as possible. That's why it was part of an amended agenda for tonight, so that they can still get the work done yet this year. Otherwise, we'd be looking at a price increase again for next year. Plus, some of these roads probably can't wait for the repair.
And we're about 27,000 under budget.
Yeah, it's under budget.
Why is the price is so different? Is there a difference in quality and what they're doing, or is it just?
So what this is Anderson's, we have a limited number of contractors who provide this service. There's really two in our area, and Anderson's is really the only one that's local. The other one is Knife River out of Little Falls, and they look at this repair work as almost too small to be bothered with, so I think they gave us a quote that
Okay, but the scope of work is the same for both of them.
it is, yes.
Okay,
Towards the end of the year, when contractors start to book up work, you can throw the higher margins on there because
see if
you
it
already
sticks.
accommodated the budget for said
Yeah.
year, so I would have done the same thing.
Right.
Yeah, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we go ahead and approve the 2022 road repair as presented.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Oh, excuse me.
there are two that were presented. You want the lower one.
Except the Anderson brothers.
The
quote.
80,232.
Yeah,
Okay, so
okay, I'll add that we accept the road repair approval for 2022 with the Anderson Brothers for a total of $80,232.
I will resecond that. Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
all those in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed? There is no old business. Council reports, Mayor, I said my piece earlier, but I'll just repeat it for the record that when people address, like at the committee meetings and stuff like that, just so that people understand, you know, there's no point in getting rude and getting down on staff. If you have a problem with something staff has said, or you have a problem with how the council is doing something or whatever, come talk to us or that, but we don't need some of the theatrics that we had at some of the meetings reference the recycling center. And the committee members are volunteering, they're doing their job. I mean, they're here helping out, so I just ask everybody maintain a decorum. So that's all I have. Don?
Nothing really.
Okay, Jesse?
Nothing really.
Mark?
Nothing.
Mark?
No,
Okay. And I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, I so move.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.